Today's episode of Variant is brought to you by Domain.com. Today on Variant, I review Batman Assault on Arkham. Welcome to Variant, and we love comics more than Hillary Duff should have never come back out with a new song and music video. It's horrible. I'm your host, Arris. Everyone who's been watching the show for a while now knows I always review the new DC animated movies whenever they release a new one. And their newest movie is Batman Assault on Arkham, which is based off of the Arkham Asylum games. So let's see if I thought it was good or bad. Also, there might be what some people consider spoilers in this episode, so you've been warned. Batman Assault on Arkham is a direct sequel to the Batman Arkham Origin games, although in my opinion it did seem like it could pretty much fit anywhere before Arkham City. The premise of the movie is as follows. Amanda Waller forms a Suicide Squad where their mission is to break into Arkham Asylum and recover top secret information from the Riddler. Suicide Squad member Harley Quinn ends up freeing the Joker, who makes plans to blow up Arkham Asylum in Gotham City, causing Batman to spring into action. Now, I've said numerous amount of times before on the show, I'm a huge fan of almost all the DC animated movies. I even enjoyed Son of Batman, even though Deathstroke was portrayed as a chump being beaten so easily, which would never happen in the comics as he's one of the top assassins / fighters in the DC universe. But besides that, another little gripes I had with the movie, I was still able to enjoy it. Now, some of you may be saying, of course you mainly like all the DC animated movies. You're a DC and Batman fanboy, which to you I say, really? Everyone has their own opinions and likes certain things or thinks a certain way for their own personal reasons and tastes. So to call someone a fanboy purely because you don't agree with them just makes no sense. Plus, it's widely known that DC kicks butt in their animation department while Marvel is kicking butt with their live action movies. And that's not me being biased to either publisher, that's just a fact. But now that I went off tangent a little bit, back to what I was saying. There are many DC animated movies that do hit almost every mark spot on, like Batman Under the Red Hood, Justice League The Flashpoint Paradox, and so on. Now, I don't think Batman Assault on Arkham is quite as good as the two movies I just mentioned, but it's pretty darn close. And it's definitely their best release since Flashpoint Paradox. It follows the vibe and tone of the Arkham games pretty closely. You get to see Batman using his grapple gun a lot to get around like you have to do when playing the games. For the most part, Batman's costume and the character designs in general are ripped right out of the game, with a few exceptions here and there. We also get to see detective mode briefly, which is pretty cool, and just like the games yet again, Batman is voiced by none other than Mr. Kevin Conroy, who's become simply known as the voice of Batman, and rightfully so. And even though the movie is called Batman Assault on Arkham and it's technically a Batman movie, the main focus isn't on him, it's on the Suicide Squad, which I don't have a problem with because I'm a big fan of the Suicide Squad, so it's about time they got some spotlight. For those of you who don't know, the Suicide Squad are a constantly changing group made up of mostly incarcerated supervillains who perform blackout missions for the government with a low chance of survival in exchange for the possibility of a shorter sentence. In this movie, the team consists of Deadshot, Harley Quinn, Captain Boomerang, Black Spider, Killer Frost, King Shark, and KG Beast. And I must say, every member of the team was portrayed pretty well. I love the relationship between Harley Quinn and Deadshot, which took some cues from DC's New 52, as they have a romance of sorts going on. Which reminds me, this movie definitely has the most sexual content out of any DC animated movie to date, showing Harley Quinn getting it on with Deadshot. So if you like cartoon movies, 1, that's extremely creepy, and 2, that's extremely creepy. But Deadshot and Harley Quinn's relationship isn't the only interesting relationship or dynamic of the team. Also, Killer Frost and King Shark become quite fond of each other, which makes for some cool and funny moments. Their relationship kinda sorta reminded me of Beauty and the Beast, where you have this big dude who becomes protective of this girl, and then they become quite fond of each other. And yeah, I just made a Beauty and the Beast reference. What of it? That's a good movie. The tension between Captain Boomerang and Deadshot was also great. It made for some really cool and funny moments. What I think I enjoyed most about the movie is how the whole film is essentially a heist film. It's like Heat and Ocean's 11. It had that type of vibe going on, which I really enjoyed. And the way they introduced the Suicide Squad in the beginning of the film, Guy Ritchie style, was a perfect touch. And like most DC animated films, the movie has a good sense of humor. I actually laughed out loud a few times, if you will. There's actually an ice pun in the movie, which is intended to mock Joel Schumacher's Mr. Freeze from the tragedy that was Batman and Robin. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about, and it was hilarious. As for the voice cast, it was great. You have Kevin Conroy as Batman, which I mentioned earlier, Troy Baker as a Joker. He's actually my second favorite voice actor for the Joker. My favorite, of course, would be Mark Hamill. CCH Ponder, who voices Amanda Waller in the Justice League cartoons, reprises her role in this movie. Then you have Hynden Walsh, who voiced Harley Quinn in the Batman cartoons, who voices Harley Quinn in this movie. All around, I thought the voice casting was good. What diehard Batman fans will really like is the references to more obscure Batman villains, like Killer Moth and Maxie Zeus, or even the Dark Knight Joker mask that makes a cameo. We also get to see a bunch of villains from the Arkham games make cameos like Two-Face, Bane, Poison Ivy, Scarecrow, and so on. On a side note, the movie is definitely their most mature movie to date, with all the sexual content and language, so it's definitely not a kids movie. In summary, I really enjoyed this movie. I have no real complaints about it, and I'm glad that Troy Baker got to play the Joker in an animated movie. I hope this isn't the last time he will do so. I think most people would agree he was great in Arkham Origins as the Joker. But yes, the action was great, story was good, and so were the characters. This is definitely one of the better DC animated films, so on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give it a solid 8, maybe even an 8.5. A few weeks ago, test footage for Fox's Deadpool movie leaked online, and ever since people have been asking me what my opinion on it is. Well, I think the test footage looks amazing and captures the tone of Deadpool perfectly. I've always said Ryan Reynolds is perfect for Deadpool. Even his few minutes at the beginning of X-Men Origins was great. As for the rest of X-Men Origins, not so great. Speaking of Ryan Reynolds and superheroes, Green Lantern. Ryan Reynolds portrays Deadpool great, as his voiceover work and overall slapstick delivery was fantastic in the test footage. I actually felt like it was a Deadpool comic that just came to life. So if this movie ever gets made, it would easily be one of the best and most entertaining superhero movies out. The problem is, to do a Deadpool movie correctly, it would have to be just like the test footage, which means the movie would have to be very rated R. And the likelihood of a movie studio making a rated R superhero movie is very slim, and I wouldn't want them to do a PG-13 Deadpool movie because you wouldn't be able to stay true to the character with that rating, as a lot of the blood, violence, and language would have to be dumbed down way too much. But yes, I thought the footage was great. It's just unfortunate that it's most likely never going to get made with an R rating the way all us Deadpool fans would want it to be. When you buy a domain name from domain.com, you get the power to influence and control what people find when they search for you online. No domain extension will help you tell your story like a .com or .net domain name. Domain.com is affordable, reliable, easy to use, and it smells good. Yes, I said domain.com smells good, and I meant every word of it. The guys at domain.com gave Variant an awesome offer. Get 15% off domains.com's already affordable domain names and web hosting when you use the coupon code Variant at checkout. So when you think domain names, think domain.com. First up for Wednesday, August 6th, we have Suicide Squad issue 2. Trapped inside Russia with no hope of rescue, the Suicide Squad does what they do best: get out with a bang. Here we have Justice League United issue 4. This is definitely one of my favorite team books out right now, and if you like Martian Manhunter, you want to be reading this, as he's the leader of the team. And finally, we have Batman issue 34. 0 years over, and the events of Batman Eternal have put Gotham City in a tailspin, but Batman is focused on finding a killer who has haunted his hometown in secret for years. Well, that brings today's episode of Variant to a close, but as always, remember you can like our Variant Facebook page to keep up with the show and all things comics. You can also follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/Arris_Quinones so we can chit and chat. But I will see you guys next week when I talk about what? All things comics. You guys are so smart.